Hi, Zizaran here with a League starter for the 3.20 Sanctum League for Path of Exile, and this is a Toxic Rain Pathfinder. It is pretty good at a lot of different things like bosses and mapping. It has lingering damage, which is going to be really good at Harbingers, which are exciting this league. A thing that it's really bad at is moving bosses. And another downside is if you're not standing still, you're not doing damage. Like, you can run a little bit and damage, but its strong suit in getting all its damage is when it's standing still. And you have some decent tank, obviously. This is something that I would feel okay to play on solo self on hardcore. It is, however, not as tanky as, for example, Explosive Arrow Champion. But it's a pretty mobile and very good league starter. Some downsides, a lot of upsides, and a very solid choice. So for the leveling sessions, early on, these are the gems you're using. You have Caustic Arrow, and as you can see, this is how the skills are looking. And then later on, we are switching to Poison Concoction. Very fun skill and going to take us pretty far into our leveling. And then early game, you're going to use around 21 regrets, and we get 20 for free. So you're just going to need one regret and switch over to Toxic Rain. You have like the different setups here. Early game for when you're like just in maps, and then later when you have like a 6th link and everything set up. And this build is really good for SSF because we're not relying on any crazy unique items, and one of the things that we do want, the Devouring Diadem, is very farmable from Katarina. And another thing that's really good for this build is that we have a 6th link short bow farmable with a Porcupine card. This drops in Courtyard and a few other maps, and it's pretty easy to look up online, and we'll have it in the notes as well. So we are going to be using Path of Building as normal, and we have a little blurb down below on how to get the Path of Building and the fork and everything you need. Now, when you import this build, an important thing is you are actually going to get a warning saying that this is a 3.19 build. That is nothing to worry about. We're making the guide now, 6 days before the league actually comes out. These are made with 3.20 in mind, don't worry. As normal, if you haven't used one of our guides before, we have our normal step-by-step leveling tree. And that means that it's very easy for the player to see where to put your skill points, and you don't just get a finished tree saying, good luck! Now, a very important thing that can be easier to miss for Toxic Rain is how much AoE should you have. So, AoE on Toxic Rain is a good and a bad thing. It used to just be a good thing where the more AoE you have, the more overlap there is from these pods. However, you want to have exactly 39% increased area of effect. The reason for that is that's what people have calculated and min-maxed as being the perfect distance where the pods are really big and have a lot of overlap, but they aren't pushed far enough away from each other. So 39% AoE is the magic number. And this is one of the things, and we'll go back to this later, but this is one of the things that we have in the notes. So if we go to the notes section, we can see exactly how much area of effect we want. And here it says exactly 39%. And here we have the 2 viable options for that. So the notes section, make sure you check it out. It is pretty extensive and we have a lot of things. I do want to make sure that you've seen the item section. So here in the early game, we have 3 different builds, and we're actually going to add a little mini one for the Poison Concoction leveling as well. When you're playing with Toxic Rain, all you want is either a short bow, a grove bow, or a thicket bow. The reason for that is that it has a base attack speed of 1.5. Like a +2 bow, but being on a slow bow, like something with 1.3 attack speed would actually be kind of bad. So if you're able to get +2 and some attack speed on a short, grove, or thicket bow, that is huge. And on all our gear early, we're just assuming that you're going to have life and resist. Because if a build looks good and has a lot of damage with just life and resist, that's generally going to be something that when you scale it really hard is going to be a great build. In the mid game, we've started like looking at more things like a +3 bow, and that's also in the notes on how to make a guaranteed +3 bow. And then in the end game, this is starting to get closer to like best in slot items that might be very expensive and hard to get, but it's good to give you really good goals so you know what are the great stats to go for on your items. Already in medium gear, you can see that we're on 3.4 million damage, and that's assuming they're standing still and doing full damage. Now, a really good thing about Toxic Rain is that these pods, you can sort of pre-stack them for some bosses. Now, obviously, it is annoying on bosses that move, but if the boss is just standing still in the middle of all your pods, it's gonna take a boatload of damage. And this is against Guardian Pinnacle bosses. Obviously, some guides don't take this at all, and then this looks a lot better. Master Surgeon has really cool technology for once you've rolled recover 3 charges when you're hit on all your flasks. You're sort of keeping them very, very high uptime with all the fast recovery you have. It's not as busted as it used to be, where it would be literally perma flasks for everything. But recover 6% of life when you use a flask, including your utility flask. It's actually very hard to die when you're mapping.
Okay, Zai, you deserve to be dead.
So every time these go to full, which is obviously very often with all the fast recovery we have as a Pathfinder, and recover 3 charges when you're hit, which I believe you need item level 81 or item level 82 for. It is quite high, and obviously it is a bit of a pain to roll. But then you're going to see that these flasks are just going brrr. Obviously does not do much against one-shots. You're dead. And then for which one to choose, start with Master Alchemist, and if you're struggling with sustain and things like that, then Master Surgeon can be extremely good for that. And if you like the sound of that technology, definitely try it out. Master Alchemist, obviously very, very strong as well, with Utility Flask giving you a 20% increased effect. So very, very strong options we have. And then as a quick peek, if we set endgame to Awaken Gems, so this is like pretty dreamy. Now do remember, Awaken Gems are a lot easier to get this league, because when you witness a tier 16 or 14 boss, whatever, with Maven has now a chance to drop Awaken Gems. So we should hopefully get quite a lot more than before. So this is not super unachievable. A few of these items are obviously very strong, but this is something nice to look forward to. 11.7 million damage while you're standing still, and this is against a Guardian or a Pinnacle boss. So I hope you like the build guide. Good luck with starting it, and if you have any issues or anything, you should be able to drop by our channel, and me or somebody else will be able to help you. Thank you so much for watching. Sub if you like the video, but more importantly, try to die less than I do.